Hello, Peter. Nice to see you. And I just thought I would give a brief introduction to Peter. So he's actually this very passionate, incredible entrepreneur. And obviously, as many of you probably will know, he is the previous CMO and the co-founder of Rovio Entertainment, which is a Helsinki-based Finnish company that actually invented and released the Angry Birds game in 2009. And at Rovio, they called him the Mighty Eagle as he helped turn the Angry Birds into a worldwide phenomenon. And that is not the only thing that Peter has been doing. In 2011, the Time magazine ranked Peter as one of the world's 100 most influential people. And he has also had a massive, tremendous impact on the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Europe and around the world. So I would just like to have a really warm welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us. And we're just very excited to be holding this talk with you today.
Hey, thanks, and great to be here.
Amazing, thank you. Just to introduce myself, my name is Diora. I've been a Moonshot Pirate for 2 or 3 years now, and I'm actually also very passionate about entrepreneurship and engineering, and I'm very interested in sort of using engineering to help really solve those global problems. And now I'm going to hand over to Denisa.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm so glad to see you all here, and Peter as well. My name is Denisa. I'm a high schooler and a teenager with a desire of changing the world into a better place. I'm also passionate about games, apps, and everything that has to do with it. Thank you once again for participating in this wonderful event. I'm going to share something about Moonshot Pirates if you wonder what it is. Moonshot Pirates is a community with encouraging young minds to dream big and to talk their own path by fostering moonshot thinking and sparking the entrepreneurial spirit. And this talk events gives you all the participants the opportunity to ask successful people, not just the questions that are the interview type ones, but the ones that makes you excited and really want to hear. First, before we start, I want to share with you the tools that we can use for this talk. You can use the questions in the chat if you have like a brilliant question and want to ask it yourself live with us. But you can also use the Q&A tool from where you will have your questions and we will address them to Peter. Thank you all once again. So let's get started. Diora, please.
Thank you so much, Denisa. So Peter, there is one thing that I've just really wanted to know, and that is, why Angry Birds? What really prompted this decision? Why a bird? Like, I want you to tell me more about this design decisions, because obviously this Angry Bird is like the centerpiece of the whole company, and I would really love to hear more about that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you look at like Angry Birds and like the original game, it started with the character and the character design, and Jaakko Iisalo, one game designers at Rovio, he'd been drawing these bird characters for many years, and then one time he was pitching this new game idea, and it featured the bird character, and yeah, people didn't really get into that like game that he was pitching, but everybody fell in love with the birds, and so we have to build a game around those birds, and that's actually what then happened over the next like 8 months, and many times when you design games, you start with like some game mechanic and then you come up with some characters and a story. But here it actually started with kind of like the original Angry Bird, if you will. So it's also something that makes it a bit different from other games, that it started with the characters and not the game mechanic.
Do you think that, you know, starting with the character from the beginning is actually a more effective way to be building a company, starting really from the passionate centerpiece?
Yeah, let's say that it's. I think that you can do that like in many ways, but of course at Rovio we had built many games before, and again I think that in this case it was different because it started with a character and then built the story. So it's kind of like very simple. If you look at like Angry Birds, that you have birds, eggs, pigs stealing eggs, Angry Birds, and that's kind of like basically the whole story to start with, and then you go from there. And yeah, I think that in the Angry Birds case it was a model that worked out really well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. When you talked about all the design process of the video game design, could you tell us more about that? How did you sort of develop, the video game design aspect of that?
Yeah, and then maybe also if you look at just kind of like a bit of the history of Rovio, the company. So actually started. So I was working for what I would call like the original tech startup. So the company that Bill and Dave started in their garage in Palo Alto in California in 1939. So before my time. We are younger people here, so not that old. But anyway, Bill and Dave started this fantastic company. So it was Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard. So I was working for HP at the time, and actually I was also fortunate enough to meet with Bill and Dave while they were still around, and they were fantastic entrepreneurs, because not only did they start HP, fantastic company that is still around today in that famous garage, but that's actually the birthplace of Silicon Valley. So that's where it kind of like all started. So Silicon Valley wasn't started by Google, Facebook, Apple, Twitter, Uber, like one of these newcomers, but it was actually started by Bill and Dave, all the way back in 1939. So also example that these things take a while to make. But yeah, so I was working at HP, and then in 2003 I organized a game making competition. This was back in the day when our friends at Nokia, another great Finnish company, they were still making phones, and they had just come out with their first smartphones. So this was many years before like the original iPhone and Android and like all of these things that all of us now carry around. So we decided to do a competition because games obviously important for any platform, including phones. And then Niklas, Kim, and Jarno, three young guys from Aalto University here in Helsinki, they participated in this competition. But not only did they participate, they actually won it. And then after winning this competition, I was one of the organizer, I was on the jury. They came to me and said, hey, like Peter, we're students here in Aalto, and like we won this competition. What should we do? And then I had, I told them that, you guys love making games, so why don't you, start a company to do what you love? And that's what they did. So they started Rovio in 2003, and then over the following 6 years. They made 51 games, and then the 52nd game was Angry Birds. And also like a great example that it wasn't like an overnight success story. It was something that took 51 games. It wasn't the first game, the second, or even the third, but it was the 52nd game that then became this massive hit that all of us know today, which is Angry Birds. And I think also what is maybe kind of like important there, that I think it's very inspirational that if you look at Angry Birds, which now is it became the fastest growing consumer brand ever, that it all started with Niklas, Kim, and Jarno, three young guys, Helsinki, Finland, students. So you could say that Angry Birds started as a student project, and if Niklas, Kim, and Jarno can do that, then you guys there, I saw like we had Sweden and Vienna and Austria, Nebraska, so like if you can do that in Helsinki, Finland, then why couldn't you do that like in Nebraska or in Vienna or like anywhere? And I think this is something that you should always keep in mind, that all of these things, like Hewlett Packard and Silicon Valley, it started like in a simple garage back in 1939. Rovio started as a student project, winning a competition and all of that. So all these, great things that, we all know about, now started small. So I think this is something that we should keep in mind. But then maybe the most important thing, and that's always my advice to young people and also, older people, that, you should do what you love to do. I think this is something that is very, very important. And at least for me, why always been an entrepreneur is that gives you the opportunity to do the things that you love to do. So I think this is something that is very, very important.
Definitely.
I don't know if I answered the question, but yeah.
No, for sure. I think the things that you said about, starting small, starting you know, in a garage. It doesn't have to be like a big, you know, whole company. Like from the beginning, you just start small, you continue with your passion. That's really inspiring. Obviously, it started as a student project, as you said. And I think that's sort of what really makes like Moonshot Pirates so special. You know, all of you here today, like, please, like, go out. If you have an idea, go out and go for it and embrace that idea, and you'll definitely be able to succeed. I'm going to actually hand over to Denisa and see if anyone has any questions to be answered so far.
We have one gripping question. What did you think of the Angry Birds movie?
Yeah, it's actually there's like two of them now, and I think that they're at the time it was the most successful movie built, you know, or built around the brand, around characters that started in a game. So would say that that's like you know, pretty good indication, kind of like they know of the success. So at least you know, it did reasonably well, you know, at the box office, and I think, you know, always when I meet with kids, they typically tell me that they've seen the movie. So I think that the movie was good for the brand, and got even more people kind of like into the brand. So from that perspective, like, very good. But I also think that if you look at building brands and all of that, I think Angry Birds is a great example that you can actually nowadays, you can start with games, you can start with kind of like completely digital product, and then you can take that everywhere. So you don't have to start with like a movie or something like that, and it's actually much faster to build brand and build awareness through games. And Angry Birds was really kind of like one of the very first examples, you know, something that started as a mobile game, because I mean, you have to keep in mind that mobile and casual games were considered that not real games, and, you know, real gamers play real games on consoles or, you know, maybe PCs. So that's also again, you know, like yeah, movie, very good, but I think that also you have to look at not just movies or animation, but like the whole you know, experience. And we always talked about the fan experience. So, you know, making great games, movies, consumer products, parks, soft drinks, you name it. So it's all about making the brand available in kind of like all forms and shapes to the fans.
You actually mentioned that there were 52 games made, and this was actually the 52nd of Rovio's games. And I was wondering, what do you think really made this Angry Birds game stand out from the rest and really help it to become, you know, such a success that it is today?
Yeah, so I think that if you look at the 51 games before Angry Birds, so it's not like all of them were, you know, like complete failures or anything like that. Actually, some of them were pretty successful. And maybe the main thing that also the market changed. So I mean, the iPhone, Android after that, I mean, that opened up the market. So it used to be that you had to be like connected to, you know, the big guys, so big phone makers or big, you know, mobile phone operators or mobile communications operators, carriers in the US, call them. But then with the App Store and with, you know, that opened up distribution for like everybody. So nowadays, you know, you can, you know, all of you can make a game, and you know, like with a bit of effort, you can get it published in you know, like the App Store or the Play Store. So that's something that changed. So all of a sudden, making great games mattered. So it wasn't like a controlled kind of like walled garden kind of setup. So I think that was something that helped enable the success of Angry Birds and many other games like after that. And then if you look at already, you know, like described the, you know, process that starting with the characters and then, you know, building the game and building everything around that. So I think that was, of course, one thing that was different. And then in like the whole process, we were really focused on like eliminating luck at all, steps of the process, and really kind of like analyzing, what makes a hit game. And I think that if you look at then, to create, a hit game, hit movie, hit anything, like any kind of success story, it's typically about getting not one, but all things right. And I think this is something that, again, so you can't say that, oh, Angry Birds, it was very successful because of the character, or, the game mechanic, or, you could, name a thing. So I think that the point I'm making is that it's a combination of many things. So you have to get everything right, and then you need a bit of luck as well. So I think that it's, like this, classic saying that, like good athletes, that they're like, really lucky, but actually they might be lucky because they train a lot. So, it's a bit about making your own luck. And of course, Rovio made 51 games, 52nd game was Angry Birds. So of course you learn. And that's another thing that I'm a big believer in, is that you like learning by doing. So you go out there, you do things, you learn, you fail, you learn, like all of that. So it's really important to kind of like go out there, do things, and then always when you do, you learn, making a game or making a new product, service, you always learn more, or in most cases you learn more by doing than just, like sitting behind a desk and planning.
Yeah, I think that's definitely really interesting, and sort of hearing from you about, all the ways that you were able to attract different people, that's sort of leading me to think about how marketing really played a role in that. Do you think that, having that strong marketing campaign really pushed this game forward, and, what aspects of the marketing were the most important?
Yeah, I think that, of course, marketing is always very important, but it's like one of the things that you need to get right. I mean, it's again a little bit, if you don't have like a great game, great product to market, then no matter how good or amazing your marketing is, it's not going to help. So I think that you can't have like one without the other if you want to be successful. But then I think also one thing, I always point out that, okay, we made Angry Birds the fastest growing consumer brand ever. And if you look at then kind of like early days of Angry Birds, I told kind of like everybody at the company and outside the company that, hey, we're going to go for 100 million downloads of Angry Birds. And okay, now, yeah, okay, so what's the big deal, 100 million? But back then, this was like 2010, nobody had gotten 100 million downloads for like any game. I mean, Tetris had been around for 20 years back then, and they hadn't gotten to 100 million. And then, everybody, of course, was quick to tell me that, hey, Peter, like you're insane, you're crazy. I mean, 100 million, it can't be done. And then what happened was that, we got in the first 12 months of Angry Birds, we got 50 million downloads, which, a lot. And then Christmas 2010 happened. So we got another 25 million downloads just over Christmas, because everybody got, like new iPhones, Androids. First thing you do when you have a new phone, you go and see like what is like #1 in the App Store. It's this like Red Bird thing. Let's check it out. And okay, 25 million more. And then in March 2011, we got to what was supposed to be impossible. We got to the 100 million downloads. And then, yeah, we ordered a few bottles of champagne from the kitchen, and then we, like, okay, great. And then, back to work. So, like no big deal. But what was very important then, what kind of like happened next was that, we were 12 people in the company when Angry Birds came out, but then we grew to 850 people pretty rapidly, meaning that most of the people were not there, like when the success happened. And then when you asked the newcomers, if you will, that, like, what do you guys do at Rovio? What does the company do? And then they're all, yeah, like we make games, and then, 100 million downloads happen. So, like new game, 100 million, new game, 100 million. So it became kind of like normal, it's what we do. And then when I'm asked, like that, okay, how did you guys make this, amazing success story? called Angry Birds, how did you make it the fastest growing consumer brand ever? And then I always say that, yeah, I mean, like, of course, easy for us. I mean, we're from Finland and everybody knows that, Finnish people, best marketeers on the planet. So, like not so difficult for us. But anyway, actually, and then I also say that, and besides that, being the best marketeers on the planet, we also know how to walk on water. And then typically, like, okay, so what do you mean, like walking on water? Isn't that like impossible? And just like the 100 million was supposed to be impossible. And I think that the point here is that it became normal for the newcomers, Rovio, that like 100 million, that's like new game, 100 million, it just kind of like happens. But of course it didn't just happen. We did like all kinds of marketing stunts. For example, when we launched Angry Birds Space, we did that in space on the International Space Station together with NASA. It was the first game that was actually launched in space, and you can still find the video on YouTube. Dan Pettit, the astronaut that was up there on the ISS at the time, he built this like real life, like Angry Birds game on the space station, and like was showing all this, like gravity and trajectories and all of that. So it's even like an educational video. But anyway, we did all kinds of things like that. I mean, we put the big red bird on the Space Needle in Seattle because obviously, space and Space Needle, so was made sense for Angry Birds Space. And then we got to 100 million. But for the new people at Rovio, it was like, okay, this is what we do. I mean, what's the big deal? And of course, I mean, if you haven't done it, then it's just like walking on water. You think that it's impossible. And then, those of you who've been to this part of the world, like in the winter, know that, like when you come here in the winter, it's very easy to walk on water because the water is frozen. And, so you have to learn how to do that. And then when you know, it's easy. So I think that, like 100 million or walking on water, first you think it's impossible, but then you learn how to do it and it's actually easy, or at least you think it's easy. And I think that this is true for many things in life, that first you think it's impossible, but then you actually figure it out and then it's easy. Walking on water, 100 million, you name it. And I think this is something that, again, made it kind of like easy for us because we learned how to do that and how to do great marketing and how to make the 100 million downloads happen. And actually, if you look at Angry Birds nowadays, it's, I think, 5 billion or something like that. So it's, like a insane number. And I could never have predicted that would happen. I mean, I thought 100 million was pretty ambitious, but of course, turned out that it wasn't, like ambitious enough. But anyway, I think this is something that no matter what you do, you should always not be afraid of, setting ambitious goals and maybe even goals that feel impossible at the time, and then, like go out there and do it, make it happen.
That was very inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that. And we actually have so many questions just coming in right now about what you said. So I'm going to hand over to Denisa and let her ask those questions.
Thank you. We actually have someone that wants to enter live with us because she has like a brilliant question. Nivina, please.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, welcome.
Perfect. Yeah, hello. Yes, I'm Divina. I'm joining from Vienna. Thank you so much for everything that you have shared so far. It's amazing. My question would be, how could you persist on working on new ideas after like the 40th, the 45th, the 50th idea? How could you persist on working and developing new ideas? What kind of mindset do you need for that?
Yeah, I don't think that it's that let's say magical, if you will, or any because I mean Rovio was started as a company in 2003, and then first, like Niklas and the guys, then, a few more people made a lot of games. So it was just like, kind of like business as usual. And then, of course, the company had its ups and downs. But I think that, then keeping the motivation, all that, I think that actually it starts with, what I said, that, my recommendation, my advice to Niklas and the guys, that, hey, you should do what you love to do. So, like, again, it was not about, okay, let's, like make a lot of money and make, like these massive hit games. Of course, you always want to do that, but it was really about creating games that we love to play ourselves. And then, if they are successful, great. If not, then let's at least, try to make ends meet and all of that. So I think that always when you embark on like entrepreneurial like journey or adventure, that of course you have to do that because you want to, and ideally you are doing what you love to do. And when you're doing that, then motivation comes very, very easy. Of course there are like days that are not like fantastic, but then you just like you keep at it, and yeah, for the most part it's about doing what you love to do. So then motivation is not like that difficult. And then I think also one thing that is very important, that it's this kind of like passion and enthusiasm. And I think that this kind of like excitement, it's very, very contagious, even more contagious than like COVID and stuff like that. So I think that it's very important that you kind of like have an environment where you kind of like have people around you that you kind of like enjoy working with, and you then kind of like I think that you kind of like empower each other. So I think that this is, again, you get into this kind of like flow state, if you will. And then we all know like how that kind of like sometimes happens. It just like feels that nothing can stop you, and you just like keep going and keep doing things. So I think that again, many things, and not like a simple answer, but I think that when you are doing and working on things that you actually enjoy and even love to do, then motivation comes very, very easily.
Thank you so much for your answer. That was really helpful. Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you so much, Divina. We have another questions. The questions are so loud. As we have heard, Moonshot Pirates is about making the world a better place. Do you think computer games can contribute to that mission? If so, in what way?
So I think that games can definitely contribute to making the world a better place. And I think one example of that is that no matter what game you play, you always learn something. I mean, it's okay, take Pokemon. I mean, I think that you can ask like most kids like anywhere, and they can name I don't know, maybe not all Pokemon, but many. And it's an example again that, okay, why do you know that? Because you have played the game and you have been doing something that you enjoy to do. So about not only Pikachu, but like you can probably name like 100 other Pokemons and their characteristics and like all of that. So okay, then you can always argue that, okay, how useful is it to know like every single Pokemon and their characteristics by heart? Okay, might not be very useful, but okay, that just shows that you can learn, and you can do that by playing games. And I think that you can do the same kind of thing. You can apply this to like, I don't know, chemistry, physics, like there's a lot of areas where you can apply the same kind of thing that you but so it's about then creating these learning experiences that are games. And actually learning should be and the learning experience should be as good as like the best games. Maybe then like a more simple answer to that, there's been studies made here in Finland since like the 1980s, or maybe even before, probably 80s, where it first started, that boys in Finland speak better English than girls. So why? Actually, because they play more games, and the games are in English. So in order to play and enjoy the games, you need to learn the language. And okay, nowadays, this has been like even up, because now it's not just, boys who play games. Actually, everybody plays. So you don't have that clear, difference anymore. But I think it's a great example that, again, learning English by playing games. It's not like the boys decide that, oh, we're going to speak better English than the girls, but they end up that way because they play more games and the games are in English. And I think that then, of course, you can look at, World of Warcraft, you learn leadership, and all of that, how to work together, to fight big battles, go on raids, stuff like that. So I think that you can take like pretty much any game and you will learn something. So I think that through games, and in this case, then education and learning, we can make the world a better place. So I think that there's really nothing that you can't apply games to in order to kind of like learn. So that, and I'm a big believer in kind of like education being kind of like the only sustainable way that we can make the world a better place. So yes, games are a big part and should be an even bigger part of kind of like learning. And I think that we should work on bringing the best game designers together with the best pedagogues, and then we can bring kind of like learning experiences to the level where they need to be. So short answer is that yes, games will make the world a better place.
This is perfect. I talk exactly the same. Thank you for the answer. We have another one. It's kind of interesting. What do you think made Angry Birds so addictive? More generally, how do games or brands become trendy?
Yeah. So I think that if you look at like great game design, I mean, it really is also a lot about, like psychology and best game designers really know how to make you, addicted to kind of the experience, to the game. And I think this is also like the previous question that, I mean, if we're successful in creating, like great learning experiences, we should also be, at the level where we make people addicted to learning. So I think that's kind of like what we can learn from like game design and great game design. And then if you look at Angry Birds, I think it's like difficult to pinpoint, like one thing that makes that like more addictive and successful. But I think one thing that is actually interesting in Angry Birds, if you played like the original game, that there's a bit of randomness added to the game. So there's even if you do the exact same, like slingshot of a bird against, like the various contraptions that the pigs have built, then it might end up with a slightly different result. So this is something that was intentionally designed into the game, that there is a bit of a random element, and this is something that I think applies to life as well, that it's not always like the exact same outcome, even if you do kind of like the exact same thing. So I think that was one thing that also makes it kind of like a bit more interesting, and also one like simple like detail that I think adds to the addiction. But then how to build successful brands, how to make things trend, and how to make trendy things. I think that there is no kind of like simple answer. I think a little bit like what I said before, that you have to get everything right, and I think that is very true. So you have to do many things right, and then also you need always a bit of luck. I think that's it's not a great answer or like a checklist that do these things and you will be successful. But I think that that's life, that things are not that simple, and there's no like super simple answer to how to make successful games or successful services.
Yes, and small steps brings you to success.
Yeah.
Diora, please.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. You have the finest Bay Area written on your background, and I just wanted to ask, what do you think is, how does the environment that you're working in, how does that really impact your work, and how does that really help boost the entrepreneurial spirit and all the success that you have?
Yeah. So I mean, actually, that's something I've been working on for years and years. If you look at like this part of the world, the finest Bay Area, so it's again, you know, like you see Helsinki and Tallinn, Stockholm, this part of the world. It's actually the most successful region when it comes to startup creation, unicorn creation, you know, per capita. So much more successful than Silicon Valley or China, or you know, name it. You know, just an example, Estonia, you know, Tallinn is the capital of Estonia for all of you, those of you who didn't know. But anyway, they just announced that they now have 10 unicorns in Estonia. And that's pretty impressive if you consider that there's only 1.3 million people in the whole country of Estonia. And I was actually, before the pandemic, I was in Beijing, and there was a professor from Tsinghua University that was very, very proud and very happy that, hey, you know, there's more than 200 unicorn companies in China. And then, you know, if you do the math, you know, there's 1.4 billion people in China, meaning that, you know, you need like 7 million people to create one unicorn company, one company worth more than a startup company worth more than $1 billion. And then you know, do the math for Estonia, you know, 10 unicorn companies and 1.3 million people. So you only need like 130,000 people to create one unicorn. So it's kind of like a staggering difference in you know, the effectiveness. And the same is true. I mean, if you look at then like the US, few more people than Estonia, obviously, but also a few more unicorns. But if you do the per capita numbers, Estonia is like number one by a long shot. And then, you know, here in Finland, Sweden, we've been pretty successful in our like startup and unicorn creation per capita as well. And in fact, last year, OECD numbers, if you look at the kind of like the venture capital invested per capita into startups, Estonia was number one, Finland was number two, Lithuania was number three, Sweden was number four, and the US was number five. And this is kind of like a good metric. It shows, you know, like again, that the startups here are very, very attractive, you know, like as investments. So again, per capita numbers. But I think that if I look at, you know, okay, I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, as I mentioned. I started, you know, like my entrepreneurial journey, you know, like in the original tech startup, you know, that Bill and Dave started. So then I think Silicon Valley is a great place, great source of inspiration, but it's already there. So like what we've been doing here is that we're building, you know, not another like wannabe Silicon Valley, but, you know, something that is better and much, much better because it's different. And that's something that we've been working on over here. And I think that it's really important to have very, very high talent density. I mean, this is also, if you look at the history of Silicon Valley, it started, yeah, with Bill and Dave and the garage and all of that. But actually they got inspired to start HP because their professor at Stanford University encouraged them to do so. And I think that, again, Stanford, Berkeley, you know, so the talent you find typically around and in the universities. And I think same thing here. You have Aalto University, you have many great universities, Taltech in Tallinn, and so on. What I'm working on and like looking at now, this like finest Bay Area that you see there behind me, it's again creating gravity and attracting the talent. And you know, talent density might sound like a bit abstract, but what it means in reality, if I go to say LA and then I go to the local Starbucks and I stop a random person and I ask him or her that, you know, like, could you please tell me about your movie? And then, you know, like what will happen next is that that person will start telling me that, yeah, you know, I've been working on this script for 10 years and, you know, this is like how the movie starts. And I'm thinking about, you know, probably I'm going to cast like Brad Pitt in the lead role. And then, okay, if this person doesn't have a script, probably he's a director or a wannabe actor or, you know, something like that. So everybody in you know, LA, in Hollywood is working on a movie. They're part of the entertainment industry. Okay, if I stop like a random person here in Helsinki, you know, at the local Starbucks, and then I can ask, that person that, hey, could you please tell me about your game? And then what will happen is that that person will start telling me that, yeah, Peter, like it's like this match 3 game with RPG elements, and I have this like amazing idea for the monetization, and this is how it's going to work. So the point here is that everybody, in LA is thinking about movies. Everybody here in Helsinki is thinking about building the next Angry Birds or the next Clash of Clans, or you name it. So I think that that's like what the talent density is all about, and that's something that I think is very important. If you look at the successful like startup ecosystems, Silicon Valley or the finest Bay Area here, or you look at like Beijing or Hangzhou, or you name it, it's all about having enough talent density. So like when you go to the local Starbucks and you stop a random person, probably they are working on something similar to what you're doing, and then like before you know it, you have a startup, and okay, billion downloads happen. So I think that this is something that is very, very important, and I always talk about this kind of like that we start with education, but who cares if you have the best education on the planet if you're not doing anything with it? So we need entrepreneurship, and for me entrepreneurship is about doing things. So entrepreneurs are people who do, and then it shouldn't be boring. So I throw in this like 30 entertainment. So talking about this like triple E model, you take education, you take entrepreneurship and entertainment, and then you can like shake it all up, and mix that, and then you can like end up with like all kinds of cool things. So I think this is something that is very important. And again, Silicon Valley, great example, but there are many like of these innovation hotspots and entrepreneurial, startup ecosystems all over the planet nowadays. And I think that's something that is like super exciting. And this is also, the question about like, saving the planet, making the world a better place. I think that's what entrepreneurship and what entrepreneurs are doing. If you ask any entrepreneur what they want to do, they will tell you that they want to change the world. And I think that that's, might sound like a cliche or something like that, but that's, like really what most entrepreneurs will answer when you ask that question, that, it's all about changing the world.
Yeah, definitely. I think you just hit the head on the nail. Definitely as well with what you said about, entrepreneurship is just about doing things. Like you could have the best education in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't, go out there and actually use it to, make that change that you want to see. I think Denisa also had some more questions to ask, so I'm going to hand over to her.
Thank you. We have an interesting question from Omnia, who wants to enter live with us. So we're going to welcome, and we're going to see what this question is about.
So can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, it's all good.
So my question is how to deal with people that try to frustrate you or don't believe in you, how to stay motivated with them, how to deal with them.
Yeah, basically just ignore, so like I think that's the ignore and move on. So I think that you shouldn't waste your time with people who don't believe and who are like negative. I mean, that's like complete waste of time. Of course, sometimes, like, okay, if you work in a bigger organization, you might have to deal with these people, but I think that the best advice I can give is to just like ignore and move on. I think that it's, like life's too short, so find people that believe and people that you actually like working with. It's not worth it trying to work with difficult people. If you don't absolutely have to, don't do it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Omnia. We have another questions here. There are a lot. They're so interesting. How do we find your passion, something we love doing, or if there are lots of things we love, which ones do we choose to pursue? Sorry.
Yeah, I think that probably best advice there is like you have to try things, because I mean it's pretty difficult to know if you love or hate something if you haven't, you know, like even tried it. So that's like you know, as a start. And then I mean, of course, if you know, like love many things and you know, like you don't really know what you want to do the most, I mean that's like a very positive problem to have. So then I would say that, you know, like don't worry about it, you know, like pick one or two things and like go with that. And then, you know, if you later realize that actually there might be something that you like or love doing even more, you know, go for it. So I would say that don't worry about it kind of like too much. I think this is something that again, you know, you can always, you know, like change your mind, you know, change your path, go for something else. I mean, that's, you know, no problem at all. And actually, you know, like a good friend of mine, Aviv, he's the founder, CEO of a company called Big Ear Games. So Aviv is now, you know, working on this. Actually, the game is called Big Ear. It's kind of like a music game. You can find it in the App Store. So small plug there. You should check it out. But it's a kind of like a music game. But anyway, Aviv is actually originally from Tel Aviv, from Israel, and then wasn't like much going on back then in games, so he or like in startups. So he was actually a medical doctor originally, and then he wanted to pursue like music. So he moved to Finland, became a music teacher, and then while doing the music teaching, and that was like a passion of his, then he decided that, hey, you know, this music education is completely broken. I have to do something about that, and I want to make a game. So then he teamed up with a few people, and then he started making games. So, you know, going from a medical doctor in Israel to becoming, you know, a games company founder and CEO in Helsinki, you know, why not? And, you know, in between being a music teacher. And it's again because he loved music, and now, okay, he wants to kind of like basically change the world of music education. So I think that, you know, and you will find many examples like that. So I would just encourage you, like, don't worry about it. You know, like you can try many things, and you don't need to, you know, find, you know, like the right thing or whatever. And also if you don't enjoy what you are doing, you're doing the wrong thing, you should do something else. And I think this is again something that really encourage all of you not to worry about it. I mean, you know, try different things, like it, continue doing it, don't like it, don't continue doing it. As simple as that.
Thank you so much. I think exactly what Moonshot lead us to, like, take action and just go for it, exactly how you said. Thank you so much. Diora, please.
I was actually listening to you talk about, you know, how you were saying that you shouldn't be working with difficult people, and, you know, you want to be able to just walk into a Starbucks and, you know, find someone and just talk to them about whatever they're doing, and they'll be able to talk to you about that. And that sort of just led me to think about, you know, how do you actually decide which people you do want to work with? You know, what kind of qualities do you look for in, you know, the fellow people that you want to like start a company with, for example?
Yeah, so I think that you know, it's a little bit like, how do you pick your friends? You know, like it's like pretty tough, you know, kind of like a question to answer. But I think that then if you look at, you know, like the people you know, decide to start a company with, you know, you could probably say that it's like a similar process that who do you start a family with? I mean, it's a little bit like that, you know, like you have to find people that you can like actually enjoy working with, enjoy being with. I think that's something that's very important. Then if you look at, okay, how do you then like hire and recruit people? For me, it's always about kind of like attitude and ambition. So not so much looking at, okay, you know, like where did you study and what did you study and like all of that. I'm much more interested in like, what did you do outside of that? And, you know, like, what are your hobbies? What are your passions? What do you actually want to do? Who are you as a person? You know, like all of those kind of things. And I think that, again, so that is kind of like one part of the coin, if you will. But then also important that it's very easy to build a company where it's all the same, like similar backgrounds, you went to the same school, and maybe you were even born in the same city and all of that stuff. I think that it's also very important to really focus on diversity, because you want to have different perspective and people coming from different backgrounds. So like different age, different nationality, different like everything. I think it's very important. I mean, like at Rovio, I think we had 47 different nationalities. And I think that this is, again, automatically makes the games better, the services better, the products better, because you have not just like one perspective and one background, but you have people from all over the planet, and they are, from different backgrounds, different experiences. I think that again, find people that you enjoy working with, and like-minded, and like all of that. That's one thing. But then also don't forget about diversity, and I think it's like super important. And it's actually important because you will be able to make better games, better products, and this is something that is very important. And I think that many companies are not like super good at this, let's say, the whole like diversity thing. So I think that this is something that really I think is super important, and it's actually important not just because it's like the right thing to do, but it's actually also it's the right thing to do because you will get better business results. So it makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely resonated with everything that you said. I think some of the people that I've worked with, in which like we did actually have a really good team dynamic, are the people who have been like in different years, like older than us. We get to learn from them, and for the people who are younger than us, we get to sort of guide them as well. And I really think that having like loads of different people with different perspectives, different ages, different everything really helps to sort of form a really coherent team. True. I'm going to actually hand over to Denisa for like a final question.
Okay, apart from the gaming industry, who do you think is innovating the most?
Yeah, that's kind of like a tough question, like who is innovating the most. I would say that probably one way to answer that is that the most innovative people are the ones who are not talking about innovation like all the time. I think like if you look at many big companies, they start talking about innovation and being innovative because they're not, and they are like desperate to kind of like figure it out. But I think that innovation, I mean, of course, we always think like, okay, Silicon Valley and technology companies and like IT and like all of that. Yes, I mean, there is a lot of innovation, of course, in kind of like all things like digital and like all of that. But I think that there's innovation happening everywhere. And like, for example, at Rovio and like with Angry Birds, that we actually never talked about innovation because, I mean, everything we did was innovative. I mean, that's kind of like a starting point, that why would you do something that is not, like innovative? You don't even need to kind of like, bring it up, of course, that's the focus, and you want to create kind of like amazing new services. And when you do, of course, they are innovative. So yeah, I don't know if I can highlight any like particular industry or person or something like that is like doing super innovative things. I think there's a lot of innovation, a lot of cool new stuff being built, many places, many industries all over the planet, and it's again also maybe one example of that. I mean, if you look at some of the innovation that has been done in Africa around mobile payments and payments in general, that's like really leading edge stuff, and it's way ahead of many of the things that we have kind of like in the developed countries, if you will. And that has come out of like necessity, that when you don't have banks and established players, you actually have to create new things. And I think that this is again an example that you can create amazing innovations, in Africa, in the US, in Europe, in China, everywhere. It doesn't really, there's no kind of like limit, from geographic like perspective or any other. I think that maybe one kind of like thing there also, that it's always when you have to innovate and create something new, then it happens. So it's not the people with the most money and like all of that win, but it's actually maybe I should put it like the most innovative people, and that's kind of like where it's at.
Great, thank you so much, Peter. I'm afraid that we're actually running out of time, so I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here, and we've learned so much from you, whether it's been learning about how to set up like different companies, about marketing, about digital and technologies and gaming, and it's just been really incredible to hear from you and all the inspirational things that you've said. I'm actually going to hand back over to Denisa as well to let her tell us a bit more about Moonshot Pirates as well.
First of all, Peter, thank you for participating today with us. It was an honor and a blessing to hear you. All I want to say after thanking everyone for participating and being here today with us, that you can also look up on Moonshot Pirates platform as well as website for upcoming events if you want to get in touch. There are so much events that can improve you as a person and everything else. You can get in touch with other people and share your talks with other peers. So please visit the website as well as register to the platform. Thank you once again. Thank you, Peter, once again for this wonderful talk and for being here today with us. Have a nice day, everyone, and I hope to see you all in future events.